Hello, this is Seyeon from Asian History 2A Baker, and this is the draft version of my one-child policy project. Babies, babies, babies. Oh, what? Are you saying that my lyrics are wrong? Oh, then you probably know the Chinese version of this song, because in China, the word babies is censored to be baby. The Chinese version is actually the most prevalent right now. Most people don't know the original. Since 1979, the government's attitude towards births was, no, you cannot have babies. You can have a baby. Does this even make sense? Apparently, this is the Chinese government's decision made in 1979 during Deng Xiaoping's rule, which lasted very long until just last year in 2015, to let each family have only one baby. The goal of the policy was to curb the population growth. There were about 1 billion people at the time demanding resources and food, which caused inequality and poverty. I want food. I'm starving to death because everybody else is taking my food. Basically, this is what the government wanted to prevent. And the overall result was something that most of the people would consider pretty negative. Let's start with the positive impacts. Families with only one child were treated well by the government with the one-child certificate, entitling them to better childcare, better housing, longer maternity time, and many more benefits over people that have multiple children. Now, the negative impacts. The traditional preference of male over female has caused a gap between male and female children, which over 100 million girls went missing. And this made tens of millions of young men unable to find brides and may turn to kidnapping women, sex trafficking, and other forms of crime or social unrest. It has caused a syndrome often called little emperors in the younger generation, who have grown an excessive amount of attention from their parents and grandparents. This is thought to be problematic, causing children to be insensible. It made abortion more prevalent by leaving only one chance of giving birth. People used ultrasound to distinguish the baby's gender and aborted if the babies were identified female. Parents who remarry have been known to abandon their child so they can have a new child with their new spouse. In 1995, the Chinese government reported that there were 40,000 orphans. In 2009, Americans adopted more orphans from China than any other country, totaling 3,001 adoptions. In 2011, the most recent year for which data is available, Americans adopted 2,587 children from China. A total of 24,635 Chinese mainland children were adopted in 2012. 87% were adopted by parents from the mainland, while the remaining 3,311 children were adopted by overseas parents. Around 74% of Chinese mainland children were adopted by overseas parents in 2012 were disabled or older children. And the government was not dumb enough to ignore all these negative impacts of the policy it had created 3.5 decades ago. One-child policy was eased since 2014 and ended completely in 2015. Actually, the policy has still lasted in a modified version after being abolished, that if the couple's parents were both an only child, they can have up to 2 babies. Having 3 or more babies is still prohibited though. Although this might sound like a progression of people's rights, but it's not. It still hasn't changed that the government is affecting its citizens' personal lives. Very, very personal lives. Unless the government completely abolishes policies that limit the freedom of people's lives in China, it will be hard to see the actual progression of human rights in China, which China would love to boast about, but is too scared to actually initiate it. Alright, that's it for today's video. See you again in the final version, which I'll hopefully finish before the due date.